Hi, it's Tim and welcome back to the channel. Now I've got on the bench today a VIC-20 and I got it from a well-known auction site, condition totally unknown. So we are going to have a look at it and see if we can get it working, and we've got some cartridges to go with it. So we'll have a look at those as well. So let's get to it. So this is a later model VIC-20 and it has the C64 style power connector on it. Single joystick port. I don't know whether this was knocked in transit or whatever, but it's not very well attached, and at least one of those pins is broken. Or, well, so far only one of those pins appears to be intact, but we shall look at that anyway. I'd like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. PCBWay make high quality printed circuit boards such as this or this, and they make them for just $5 for 10 boards, double-sided. All you need to do is upload the Gerber files and they do the rest. They also do shared projects, and they have a selection of projects for the VIC-20, including RAM expansions and cartridges and so on. And they do other stuff as well, such as 3D printing, CNC machining, metalwork and so on. Check them out on www.pcbway.com, and we thank them for sponsoring. So let's open him up. Now we've got the usual 3 screws underneath. That one's a different one. These look to be kind of original. You can already see the PCB through there, so it's not got a shield on it, an RF shield. Serial number 68636, made in England. Oh, that's a three thing screw. I wonder if I've got a bit for that. Let's have a look. Something to be different at least. I can tell you one thing, this thing is not going back in there. It's a completely different thread and all. Right. So it is full of dust bunnies. Soldered, at least it's got a fuse in it. Everything appears to be soldered down. So it doesn't look as if it's had any real attention in its life. Let's take the cover off. That looks pretty clean. 2083, 2183 on that, 2883 I think, 1783, 2583. So it's kind of the middle of 1983. I guess we see whether it actually does work. Okay, I've rearranged the camera so we can see the screen. Now let's try powering it on and see what happens. That's a good start. I'm always sort of slightly disappointed when it works, but yay, it works. Now we need to clean it up, obviously, because it's absolutely filthy. What I will do is I will install the diagnostic cartridge, which you can see here. Okay, so the diagnostic harness is plugged in. We've got the user port connector, we've got the keyboard connector, we've got the cassette port connector, we've got the joystick connector, and we've got the cartridge itself. So let's reconnect the power. There we go, and let's switch it on. Okay, cassette port bad. Okay, cassette port bad. Let's see what the problem is with the cassette port. Right, well, the first thing to look at is the 9 volts. Now it's turned off. I've got a circuit diagram here so we can see basically the unregulated 9 volts comes in here and into the cassette motor, which is controlled by this 6522. So we need to see whether we've got 9 volts. But first, let's have a look at the fuse. Now, I don't know if you can see that. This is sticking out and wobbling, so that does not look good to start with, and I suspect immediately the fuse, so let's just give it a check. And yep, that's dead. So the fuse, which was barely actually contacting this side, which is definitely falling out, we're going to have to repair that. And yeah, you can actually see on the inside of the glass where it's blown. So that is a 1 amp 250 volts. I'll see if I've got one of those. Right, so here we have 1 amp fuse, a brand new one. Now before I fit this, what I am going to do is take this board out, give it a bit of a clean, repair this, because that is gutted, and we will start on the process of cleaning it. So the board is out, it's still filthy, it's got some of my smudgy fingerprints on it now. But so let's have a look on the back. And it's actually still a bit sticky from flux, so obviously they don't bother to clean these off particularly. Right, there you can see that part of the fuse hasn't actually gone through the hole, so that's what we'll need to repair immediately. This looks a bit iffy. That's the back of this, whatever this is, sort of little transformery thing, coil inductor jobby. And they have cut the bottoms of the legs off. I hate when they do that, just to make it very low profile. Okay, let's see if I can desolder this. I'm just going to use the solder sucker. I heard it fall out. And then we're going to fit that properly. I'm just going to use some pliers because my pudgy fingers won't get in there. And that is nicely soldered in, unlike the first time. So we can fit the new fuse. So that will go in. So we have the bad cassette error still showing, and what we've got is 6522 controls the cassette motor signal. That goes through this transistor, this Zener diode, and this transistor to pin 3. So we should see on here 9 volts coming in, and that's the middle signal. So we should see 9 volts here, and we see about 1 volt. So we've got 9 volts coming in to this transistor, and we've got nothing there So either that's faulty, that's faulty, that's faulty, or that's faulty. Now I don't have any D880, so I'm going to have to order one of those. I don't have any of those either. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I'm pretty sure I won't have it. I do have a 6.8 volt Zener diode. And one thing that I want to do with this board is put ZIF sockets in here for the 6522s and the 6502 so that I can use this as a test rig. And I can definitely put the sockets in, and that would allow me to swap those over. Would see if this is the problem. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at this Zener diode first. Let's just power the board down and just measure across it. Seems to be shorted. Let's take one end out and see what happens. Now, before I turn the board over, I'm going to remove this keyboard connector, because otherwise the pin was going to bend. Let's just pull one leg up so that we can measure the diode. I've marked it on the back of the board there. So should hopefully be enough. There we go. Now let's just beep the diode. That's a short. And that's a short. That doesn't seem right. Let's find another diode and put in there. So here we have some 6.8 volt Zener diodes. So let's put one of these in. So it's back together. Now let's just test it again. New diode is in. The fuse is still okay. So let's plug it in and switch it on. Well, what about that? So I guess the problem was this little Zener diode. So that's our VIC-20 put together and working. Next time we are going to be fitting some ZIF sockets to the major chips. So subscribe to the channel and get notified of when that video drops, and do all the usual YouTube-y things like subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.